always lose my way. I am. My name is Humhrey. I'm an architect in Tanzania, and if I can say something a little bit off the side, I just like your concept about shame. But I think I feel shame just is all over the place, especially with African architects. So the shame of our own architecture. I decided to give a talk on prison as a talk, because in my field, we do not celebrate prisons. We design everything else except for prisons. Nobody really talks about prisons. And I think that in the project of imperialism, I think played absolutely massive role, and it continues to play absolutely massive role until now. I'll start with the definitions, like Pedro said, settling on controlling land that we not possess, and then on to new imperialism, which exists right now in Africa. With the idea of prison, it's something that we believe was in by the colonialists. In Africa, prior to the coming of the colonialists, they had their own system of punishment. And even though people were sort of enclosed, but our system of punishment just depended on compensation. That you sort of, if someone has done wrong, he's supposed to compensate the person that has done wrong. But the idea of punishment as it existed in the West was not there. Yeah. Like I said, I'm from Tanzania, and this is Zanzibar. One of the areas where enclosure played a big role was in the slave trade, and this is one of the caves in Zanzibar, the cells where the slaves from the mainland were taken and were kept over here, just waiting to be sold. The prison, as sort of defined or developed by the colonialists in Africa, was basically a system of punishment, of discipline, and of proving that the black people are inferior to white people, and that is carried on and on and on until now. So, I'm trying to rush. In the colonial time, I think all of us know about the Golden Age, where the political, this Mandela's cell, and this is the area where prisoners used to work. They used to break stones, and Mandela worked there for over 20 years. It's very hard work. And the fact was, they tried, prisons in general were areas where they tried to break the spirits of those people that they considered to be dissidents. No, not dissidents, I mean like people who were stubborn, who were fighting for freedom, who were outspoken and all. So they were put into prison so that their humanity was sort of denied. And Mandela was put in there, he was lying on the floor, and he was put over there in the sun to work on the back-breaking work. And the same is true of Kenya. It seems like almost all the African leaders had to go through prison. Prison was sort of a university. And in Kenya, that's Jomo Kenyatta in the Kapenguria 6. Jomo Kenyatta, right here, and this is him, who later became the first president of Kenya. And his son is right now the president of Kenya. So prison was used to sort of control the aspirations of the local Africans. But the other thing that I've forgotten to mention is that the space of the prison itself was such a way that it was sort of being dehumanizing. I mean, the condition, the quality of the services, the food, the diet, the clothes, all of them were to sort of prove that, inform the people that they were less than anybody else. If you look at the uniforms, the prison uniforms, they were dressed like kids, like little boys with little shorts, with no buttons, and the cells themselves did not have the basic requirements. They had holes for WC, and share the same space, and people defecated in the presence of others. So in a way, the prison was meant to just kill the spirit of the liberation fighters. Now, after we got independence, one would have thought that the first thing that we would have done was gotten rid of it, or the system of it, the way it was. But unfortunately, the governments that took over, that continued the same mode of operation, the same mode of suppression that existed, and the system and the prison system as it was in the colonial period had continued until in many countries almost until now. Like right now, across the continent, the most likely candidates for prisoners today are the real or imaginary political opponents of established regimes. One easy way or sure way to go to prison in many countries in Africa is to voice a different opinion as compared to the ruling regime. And so the same system of oppression, the same system of marginalization that took place during the colonial era is sort of being replicated right now in many countries of Africa. Even the uniforms, even the lack of services, is still being perpetuated. One example is this one, Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba was the first prime minister of the Congo, now the DRC. When the Congo got independence in June 1960, he gave a speech in front of the Belgian king, I think it was King Baudouin, and in less than 6 months, less than 7 months, he was dead. The Belgian government, the CIA had perpetrated sort of a coup against him, and there he is. He was in prison, and then they went and killed him in the bushes. He and two of his friends, and his body was dismembered and boiled and put in liquefied acid, and 2 teeth were taken as a souvenir by one of the Belgian prison officers who were done the killing. So the same thing, and the ones who did this were was basically the one who killed Patrice Lumumba was a guy called what was his name? He's from the Katanga area, which is very, very rich. Yeah, Shombe was the one who was against it. And then, of course, Mobutu came into place and all that. Yeah. And this is the situation in South Africa, in post-Moore prison. in South Africa, where Mandela was in prison, I think, in the later part of his imprisonment. And this is a situation that is very, very common across many prisons in Africa. The conditions are quite awful, and they're overcrowded. The sanitary facilities are almost non-existent, and the uniforms and the way of sleeping just absolutely dehumanizing. And this is from Zambia. The guy on the left there is the first president of Zambia, who immediately after he lost the elections, his successor, Mr. Chiluba, promptly threw him into prison and told him that he was not really a Zambian, until people came. I think Nyerere was one of them, complained about it, that you can do this when you come there, was at the forefront in the liberation struggle for the African countries. And he was released and was put under house arrest. And to the right is the current president of Zanzibar, of Zambia. I think his name is Mele, who also was imprisoned by his predecessor. And now he is the president of Zambia. So the prison has always still been used in the same way as it used to be used in the colonial time, to punish dissidents. Yes, we all know about what's happening in Britain right now with regard with the repatriation of refugees to Rwanda. And there you have the Minister of Home Affairs, I think, of Britain, Priti Patel, and the guy shaking hands over this great deal of sending the unwanted to Rwanda and into this kind of what is called a hotel. This is where they're going to be kept. And in my mind, I just think it's just the same old story. Sending the things that Europe does not desire to the waste. I think we have a better problem with what do they use, contaminated waste or something. That they normally ship them down to Africa, and now they're paying Rwanda a sizable sum of money to keep these people who are, some of them are not even from Africa, from Iraq and other countries. They're going to be sent to Africa, to Rwanda, and kept over there until they decide that they want to take them back. And the irony is, I think also Denmark is also looking for doing almost the same kind of thing, the same kind of exercise. In my humble opinion, I think it's just a continuation of the neo-imperialistic neo-imperialistic concept that Africa is sort of the dumping ground of whatever is undesired. Yeah. I'm sorry, I rushed. I wanted to let them go over time.
Just good. We have time to do a couple of questions. No, we are basically having a neo-colonialist zone system or zone colonies.
Okay.
So, a couple of questions, maybe. If somebody has.
Yes, thank you. Interesting presentation. It's of course sad to see that there are some structures inherited from the colonial time, but of course here we should also see some maybe trajectory of that we of course maybe couldn't expect that all countries would have totally abolished the prison system right after independence, and things develop in a kind of not so straight way, and some setbacks can come. Of course, if we look in the long terms, I think still it isn't as bad as maybe if we look at how the Belgian authorities treated Congolese people. If we look now, you know, it's that kind of savagery is not accepted in the area, even though there are terrible conflicts still going on, but that kind of open savagery is not accepted. So even with all the setbacks, we still can see kind of development going, and maybe this ties into the previous presentation that I think, objectively speaking, there is development in history, even though it's sometimes difficult to see.
Joo, on sellainen pienen huomio vaan, mitä itselle tuli tästä. Niin, small talk what I have when I look at your preparation and photo to South African prisoner, where are a lot of people in
a cell.
and only one toilet. It reminds me, yesterday I saw in toilet in people in Hong Kong live in cages today, and they are free. Yeah, and so this is how things go around this world nowadays. And they say it goes better.
Maybe if you want to answer.
Just a fast comment.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying, that it would be illogical to expect the African governments to get rid of the prison system when it became independent. But one would have thought that there would be some improvements to it. And in my opinion, one of the mistakes that we make, that the people in the West make, is not sometimes make excuses for Africa. Most African countries have been independent for more than 60 years. Now, that kind of situation in the prison system, that kind of situation of savagery, and the prison they are savage, should not be tolerated. Just because they are African, and then you're saying that, okay, in the 60 years, there's a slight improvement in the lot. What I'm saying is that it's a sign of respect for a person to tell them the truth that this is not tolerated. And I feel that many African countries can get away with this situation because the white world is scared. They're scared of pointing out that this is not fair. We should do something about this and everything. So we tend to focus on the nice things, the schools, the order system, and those kind of things. But these prisons, these are the places where I think a country's decency should be mentioned. And there's just no excuse for it. 60 years is a long time. And I think it's high time that, and it's not only Africa, in many parts of the world, in Asia, in Latin America, the same situation continues.
In the United States.
In the United States also. So I think that we should have standard, we should tell everybody that no, this is not acceptable. And to the issue about Hong Kong and the cages, I think those have been pulled down, if I'm not mistaken. Hong Kong or something. Kowloon, I think many of them have been pulled down, and they built some parks in the state. So nobody still lives in cages in Hong Kong at the moment. But
there's no bars, but they don't have space for everybody. They are sleeping in boxes.
Yeah. They share apartments and put on caves there. Very much people, same apartment.
I don't know, I don't know, I mean, like, if one toilet serves about 1,000 people or something, and the conditions over there, I think something needs to be done. But again, I think we should just address every situation as it arises. So I don't have any major response to that. But in a prison, I think to have a hole in the ground or a bucket for people to sort of think that's